Too Pretty for Prison is an example of me calming down. I'm like, I'll just hire someone. Like, I would do when I kill you, but I'm kind of tired. Yeah. We're friends of hers.
This is a songwriter line. I met Miranda on her first record, and basically my husband was a producer on her record, and he had me sing backup for her, and I fell in love with her voice and her songwriting. It had this rebelliousness to it that I just so loved and related to. And so by the third record, I went up to her and I was like, hey, I know this is weird, I'm producer's wife, but I have some ideas that I would love if I just had one day with you. If you don't like them, it's totally fine. But we ended up writing like 8 songs in 2 days. And then I met Luke later on. We absolutely hit it off from day one. And our first song we wrote together, Miranda ended up cutting, which is called Highway Vagabonds. And I called her, I was like, you gotta meet Luke. Like, you would love writing with him. And now we're just kind of like a little trio. We just always love to write and hang out.
Nat had called me. I just moved back to town, and we had written a song that Highway Vagabonds, and Miranda took it for the record, and then she came over, and I was nervous. You know, I hadn't written with a star before. And so we didn't fumble around. We wrote a great song. Maybe she'll cut it for the next record.
Yeah, for sure.
Pressure. No, Nat told me, like, I just know that there's a person that you will love that writes amazing songs and has some really cool grooves to go with it. I was like, okay. And I showed up and I'm like, oh, this is so badass. This is so fun. And he's a lovely person. And I'm like, yes, we should have been friends. She was right. We should have been friends. So it was, I don't remember the first song we wrote. Was it Mess With My Head? No,
Secret Weapon.
Oh, yeah.
It didn't end up on the record.
Yes,
it didn't end up on the record.
We did write
That's
Secret
really
Weapon.
good. Maybe I'll put it on the next one.
I have to, I guess I would start that conversation by talking about, as a songwriter, what it takes to actually create a style of songwriting or something like this, and it requires something of yourself, but it also requires friends who encourage you in some way and who egg you on or bring something out in you. And I really feel like Natalie, the first time we ever wrote, there was something of I felt legitimized. I mean, I wouldn't have said that then, but now, when you have somebody who is several rungs up the ladder above you talking about you all the time, it makes you believe that you actually are good, you know? And then it's like the Dumbo feather effect, you know? And so I love these songs. I love the sounds or whatever. And so it's like, bring up something, you know, get something exciting. And so anytime we would get together, I would prepare and then show up, and we may write that or we may write something else.
You come from a very eclectic music background, and for me, it was just so fresh, and it was something I'd never really heard someone do. It was almost like Beck meets country, and I loved it so much. And it's very outside the box. I'm always looking for outside the box, and this girl has always lived outside the box, which I love. And I just felt like also, you guys have the same dialect. The Oklahoma, Texas.
Yeah, we're different.
I'm more suburban country, so yeah.
It's nothing but a tiny red river in between really where we grew up. And language does help. I mean, we grew up around similar kinds of people. You can say Oklahoma and Texas, but it's a similar culture and a similar language and a similar musicality, I feel like, too. And that makes things automatically start gelling together creatively, just being culturally similar. And then being both culturally outside the box as well, from where we're from.
I'm a Tennessee stepchild.
I just think, like, when a friend of a friend, when a friend says, you need to meet this person, you are gonna love this person, and like you trust in that relationship, and then you get in the room and it feels like you've known each other forever. Like, that's how it felt when I met Nat and we wrote together, and that's how it felt when she introduced me to Luke. And then But on the other side of that token, like, they very much push me out of what I'm used to and what like, my skills are, like, I only know, like, 4 chords on the guitar, and I made my sound with that at 17. I didn't know what else to do. The kind of pop influence that Nat brings, and, like, the lyrically she pushes me, and then this whole Cosmic Okie came in my life, and I was like, oh, he just dropped out of space. This is badass. It's like, it really feels like such a cool, even though we are similar in a lot of ways, all of us, very different, and are, like, what we lean on and what we go to musically. And I think that's what makes the magic, is because everybody puts in a little bit of different flavor.
That's one of the exciting things that I feel like really happened on the last record. It happened on Wildcard too some, but we hold up so much at the farm to write songs that kind of time, it just does something to you when you're spending a couple of days together, that you don't feel the pressure of 3:30 and such happening then or whatever. Somebody's got a hard out. We're there, and so it unfolds things. And some days Nat would come up with something that was like just quintessentially something straight from her soul, and then sometimes we would start something and Miranda would just start this vernacular, and it was amazing, you know, and it's like you don't know where it's coming from, but it's happening, and you just sort of ride it, some weird country magic carpet or something like that.
Like that was Carousel. It just, like, floated right out of the sky and landed on us.
It did.
Like, truly.
Some of the best memories of my life, like when I think back on my career, I'm gonna remember being out at the farm and writing that song. That was a really special moment.
Yeah, one of the things I was gonna say, one of the things I remember is how loud the nights are where Miranda's farm is, and the crickets were so loud, and on the demo that we recorded out at the farm, I would take a bunch of recording gear out there, and there are all these crickets, and I just kept it, and I got a bunch of cricket noise and then put it on the record so that we could have a piece of that on the record as well. I know that's a strange thing, but it just reminds me of the night that we wrote it. It feels like the song, it feels like this perfect sort of ambience that was happening that created the song.
It was very spectacular. It was how it all came together. It was kind of divine, really. It was, we each just equally contributed to it and to the storyline, and we were just kind of making it up as we went.
Yeah.
Sometimes I can't tell if I just make up stories about writing songs now because you get far away from them, but I swear I remember, because we wrote, I think you came up with the character of Elena, and then this first verse came in, and I was like, we got to start talking about the guy, and I feel like we just all looked at each other and go Harlan at the same time,
Yeah.
and I'm like, no way.
His name was, we all knew it.
You two did. I remember that. That was amazing. That was like a lightning strike, and I was
How
like,
are you gonna say Harlan at the same time?
That was weird.
Harlan Giovanni. I love Elena.
She's your babe.
That's my fave.
I
Yeah.
kind of like Katie with a K. Because she goes skinny dipping at K-Ways. I kind of want to know her.
I don't know. The character in Scenes is great, but the character in Acting Up is great. It's like this weird.
Well, it just feels like me.
Just kind of like.
She's just roaming around Billy Bob's with the sequins.
Scenes was a really memorable thing because it was the first time that we just started traipsing around in a song.
Yeah.
And it had these geographic legs with character and pulling from any sort of motel that any of us had been to, or a landmark, and how good it felt. And I was doing I had done a lot of traveling the year before, and we were doing no traveling in 2020, and that was the first time we'd gotten around people, and it was this amazing sense of freedom, and we were just dreaming of the places that we missed or wanted to go or whatever, and then trying to imbue that with some kind of emotion or a story behind why you would be there.
It was Tourist. Wasn't that first?
Yeah.
Scenes was first.
No,
Tourist
Tourist was
first.
first.
Yeah.
And I had this idea because I feel as a person, and I feel like my friends feel this way too. It's like you belong everywhere and nowhere. You know, it's like I love where I'm from, but in some ways it feels strange to go there, but it still feels like home as well. And then you drop in to one little culture in a little town and you just love it, but it's not where you are, not where you're from, and it's this feeling of not quite ever being right where you want to be. A little bit uncomfortable, but totally comfortable in that too. And then she came in the next morning, or right after we wrote it, and she's like, what if we wrote a whole record of, you know, this tourist person, you know, who's doing things? And I'm like, whoa, that's really awesome. Let's, just all of a sudden, lights started going off, endorphins and all of this. It was like we could travel, and we could have reasons to travel, and not just traveling, but there was emotion behind it. So that's what set the geographical tone for things.
When you were saying that, we touched on that in Settling Down, that emotion.
Ooh.
Because that emotion of my settling up, I had just gotten married, and I was like, for the second time, and I came in and told them during a write, I was like, I have to tell you something, guys. I got married. They're like, okay. And so I feel like that song kind of set us on a path. I didn't think of it till you were just saying all of that, but like this person just figuring it out, and like belong everywhere and nowhere, and like grass is greener, what are we doing? But then we actually got a map out towards the end of writing for this record. Like I think Pursuit of Happiness was that in Music City Queen, the last two we wrote, I think, and we actually were like looking at a map like on our phone, like where have we not been? We haven't been to the East Coast. We have made it to, you know, on this record since we set out on that path. I want to make sure we touched on everywhere, you know.
Next record, we're doing a European tour, so it's gonna be awesome. Luke had it now all nice and teed up for us.
Oh yeah, I mean, we wrote it, but
I mean, we wrote all the best parts of the song, but
yeah, Luke he was on a mission for that song too, because it was already it was ready. It was such a curated idea, and it fell in so well with like wrapping it up for Palomino, you know.
I don't remember teeing it up that much.
You did. I thought you did.
You teed it up.
But then we went to the Carolinas.
Did you get mad at me for teeing it up so heavy?
We went to the diner in the Carolinas. Because I was like, we hadn't been to the East, y'all.
You know, I remember being really sad after those two writes, because we knew it was over. Like, there was going to be no more writing for the record. And I think I was flying off the next day to do something. And there was a sadness to it. And I don't know, you know, it was like... I think I remember you and I talking about it, and you were like, are these any good, you know? And I was like, so we're just sad, man. We don't get to do this anymore right now.
What's wrong?
Why? Every time after we would leave those rides, there'd be
a depression.
There'd be a 3 or 4 day crash of, oh man, you know, it's like we gotta go back out into the real world of Zoom writing or avoiding Zoom rides.
Well, exactly. The other thing is too, this is what I love about the way I like writing for records. I really do. I like to pour into a record. I think records are very important. I know people are putting out EPs, but if you take an EP, you can't really go and tour an EP. You need a lot of songs to play live. And a record is just like it's like a book, if you will. It's like you wouldn't publish half of a book and not the other half. And I feel like whenever we write for her records, what I like doing the most, and you know, we write a lot of songs, but it's like we really do try to pour into each one of them and give them like all the attention they deserve. And then, you know, the rest is up to God, but it's like, I just love making music that way. For me, it's just soul gratifying, and it's the reason why I like making music. I mean, you know, the touring part is fun and watching it come to life, but the writing of the music, that is the magic.
Well, it's the start of it. It leads everything. And, you know, there's something to be said for like really spending 3 days. Just go away for 3 days. Because this like 11 to 2 thing kills me. I just feel like it's just a little part of work in your day, and it's, you know, sometimes it works. A lot of it works. It's how it's done most of the time, but
well, sometimes songs come at night. Like we wrote a lot at night.
and also just like not feeling like it's a job all the time, you know? Yeah. I think that's important. You have kindred spirits with people, you're really good friends, you do the same things, why not do it together? And if you can, make it an environment that feels, you know, like creating, not like a 9 to 5. We don't have regular jobs. Why are we treating this like that?
Exactly.
You know?
That was the first time that I had been on writing retreats before. How that often goes is there's just a group of writers and an artist, and it's this kind of shotgun situation where it's like 2 guys going over here getting an idea, and the artist comes over there and finishes, and you switch it up and do this and do that. And unlike that, it's like, no, we're just gonna go hang out for 3 days and see what kind of songs come out. And if no songs come out, we'll just go swimming.
Which we did.
Which
in the
we did.
pond.
Yeah.
With beer strapped to the paddleboard. And it was
Oh, we
great.
did, and your dogs.
And my dog. We stayed up till like 3 in the morning dancing on the porch.
That was amazing.
Yeah, it was just a magical, like all of those times, we did like 3 times, I think. And
It's like songwriting summer camp.
exactly.
Confession. Like, I liked Geraldine. And I thought, but I was like, I'm not sure how you guys wrote it when you wrote it with John Randall and Jack. I wasn't sure how
She fit in.
where sonically it was going to fit in the record. And hot dang, if that song isn't one of my favorite songs on the record now, but I love the way.
And my
y'all
argument is like,
produced it.
guys, she went to Amarillo. We haven't been there yet.
So I loved how that one turned out.
Well, thanks, Annette.
Yeah.
I opened my Vegas residency every night with Acting Up, and it's like, it just sets the tone. It was the first song on the record, and it's the first song on my set, and it just sets the tone for like what we're doing and where we're at, and it just like is it's rowdy, but a little bit toned down.
Laid back, rowdy.
Low key.
Yeah, low key rowdy.
I love them all. I can't. I mean, Carousel's probably, if I have to pick one, it's my standout. And Jukebox we haven't talked about, but I love. That's what makes the Jukebox play so much, and it just brought back so much nostalgia for me, like listening to B&D and Honky Tonk. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I remember dancing to Neon Moon one night
Yes.
at the. I think it was after we wrote that song, and that was one where I feel like Miranda was on a roll because it was her wheelhouse of honky tonks, and I've played a few honky tonks in Oklahoma, but that's really, I feel like, your wheelhouse, and so like the nostalgia and the images of sort of a disco ball honky tonk, not in a hyped up way. This is the slow dance of the night, you know, and it's so heartfelt to me. And it was I felt it was a really amazing thing to witness Miranda and her poetry come out around something that she loved, and it just really unfolded really quickly.
Yeah.
It did.
It was beautiful how it was written. Also, I remember we changed up some of the melodies. I like whenever she gets to sing out and just have kind of free reign on a melody. I feel like melodies these days are so, you know, you have to just stick to the format, where I like the freedom. To me, it's soulful to have like, that's what makes the jukebox play. So you do all those little triplet things that I can't do, but I just I like watching you have that freedom, just singing, have a lot of space.
It's also really hard to go back and sing for these two because they're both great singers. So like when one of us, when we're in the moment and somebody like, I'm like, you sing strange, because then I'll learn it, and you know, like it's her idea. So she just had this really cool melody and the way she phrased it and everything, and then having to sing it in front of them is a little intimidating because they're both great singers. So, but that's what I love. We're all like mutual respect, and we all let each other. We all know our lanes, and we all let each other swerve into each other's lanes when we're supposed to. But you know what I mean? That's what it feels like.
Totally.
On Jukebox, I remember, I believe, you know, Willie Nelson had written down something about, or he had said something in an interview, something like, and that's why jukeboxes make so much money, is because of heartbreak. And I thought it was an awesome idea, and I had a melody, and the melody was this: that's what makes the jukebox play. And Natalie goes,
Sorry.
like, that's like something like you would sing. Here's something like we would sing. And I loved like deferring. I'm like, yeah, you're right, that's better, let's go.
You're a genius.
Oh.
Yeah, you are.
No, you are.
No,
Your mom is. You know, it's the conversation of women in country is always a conversation. Sometimes I feel like it gets too much heat and it's unjust, and sometimes I feel like it needs more heat. But what we do is lift each other up, and we know the grind we have to go through to get where we're going. And we have to, you know, I love a friendly competition though. I love when girls are kicking ass. It makes me want to kick ass. And I love getting to write songs with women, and I love champions like Luke that are like, that appreciate what we have to offer, and a lot of the, you know, amazing male artists that have taken us under their wing all this time and like champion the females. I really think it's just, it really should be a big family with a little bit of like, I can kick ass too. Like, I love a friendly competition, and I think that's where we're at. And I'm really thankful that anybody that pours into a record, I want them to be lifted up. They deserve to be nominated. You know, it's like all the songwriters, and this is just our story. Everybody in this town has stories like this, and you know, we're lucky that we get to share it with y'all. Thanks for having us as a trio, because this is a very special relationship, and we do things a little differently. But everybody has their story and their way that they do things, and I'm glad there's a platform like award shows and, you know, this interview that really highlights songwriting, because that's where it all starts. All the rest of it's bells and whistles. It starts with a song, and everybody pours their heart into that. And you know, there's something for everybody in country music. So let's just open the doors and let everybody in. That's how I feel.
I could just start with a blanket statement that it feels awesome to be recognized amongst people that I find to be really talented people. It's easy to get complacent with wherever you are. I love country awards because I feel like it's homey, and these are my friends and my people, and people treat you really well, and it's fun. And I also know that the song and the joy of writing songs is really the biggest, most important thing to me, and the connection that you have between people when it comes to creativity and having the magic of creation together. It can be a really beautiful thing, and it really is the award to me. That said, when people recognize you in your community, it feels really great. And no matter how, I guess, complacent isn't the right word, because I would like to think that I hold on to some level of gratitude no matter what part of my day it is. And I try to go to sleep on that and wake up on that. To be able to, I could still be beating my head against the wall in this town, and that's not lost on me, that I get to work with brilliant people, brilliant writers, and brilliant spirits, you know, who have a vision for things. And to be able to do that, and to be a producer to me is to help bring up that, is to help either create or be a part of that vision. And so to be recognized for that, I feel like it's absolutely tied to the artists that I get to work with and who trust me to come into their world. And I really am just so thankful that you believed in me, guys.
We love you.
Yeah.
I'll vote for you.
He's practicing.
I've never been free before. Like, I love Sony. I've had some great times there. My whole life's work is there. Literally my entire catalog. And so it was, you know, there's some bitter and there's some sweet to it. But I also know that the landscape of the music industry is so different than when I signed at 19 years old. And I'm excited to learn about it. I'm excited to figure out what that looks like. But mostly, I just want to let the music lead. I want to go write songs. And now I don't even have like a deadline or anybody to answer to, or wonder if it's for radio or if it's not, or what it is. I mean, I've worked on some cool collabs I've got up my sleeve. I'm just letting the music lead, and that's why I was like, blocking days. Because I just want to kind of like recreate a moment that we created in 2020. Like, that was our way of finding freedom, is writing these songs about travel. And I feel like now I'm on my own, and I'm excited to see what comes to the table and just to learn. You know, the industry's so different now, and there's so many platforms, and that's a great thing. Like, you know, there's so many platforms that any kind of songs we write can be like, I want a Steve cut bad.
I do.
And so like I have a Natalie Hemby cut. I was very proud of that. I have two. And so like I feel like so thankful that all the music has somewhere to land, and it really opens up my world as a creator. Like, not just like writing to a single or something, you know?
You got a Morgan Wallen number
I
one.
got a number one.
Come on, girl. I've been
awesome.
saying. With songwriting, you do have to, like, just some practical things. You do have to spend a lot of time by yourself. You do. You have to get alone and with your thoughts. You have to pay attention to the world around you. You have to listen to other people's music and be a sponge and soak in a lot of different things. And if you don't allow that, if your life is crowded with distractions, TV is one of them, and believe it or not, and anything, games on your phone, all this kind of stuff. You can be on social media too much. You've got to really put it down and be disciplined and really try to, I don't know, just like let the music soak into your soul a little bit to be a great songwriter. And it's easy to get overcrowded and over distracted. So I think being alone, very alone.
She got dark. She went dark. She went dark.
So alone.
She went dark.
Alone.
Every time I get a question like this, it's really difficult for me to answer because I'm sitting here like 25 years after a song that's like presentable, that I've made a song that was presentable, 25 years after the fact, and I feel like there have been so many losses and what am I doings between this time and that first song. But I would say somewhere along the way, and it really was in the last decade for me, maybe 10 to 12 years, it's that you start developing this inner voice, and it is about listening to things, listening to music, and then listening to your own music and trying to make something that you find to be inspiring. And it's weird that there's like your own little aesthetic, this own little voice that says, this is really good, stop, this is the title, this is the thing. And honing that voice and honing the skills around that voice, to me, are really important to becoming a songwriter that you can that you can care about before anybody else needs to care about.
That was all really good. I mean, I feel like mine's just like, just write the song, man. Like, write the song. Like, it gets so convoluted and so businessy, and I didn't know what the hell I was doing. I don't know what I'm doing, but I just write the songs. And they might be heard, they might be a number one, they might never see the damn light of day. There's way more of those.
No, yeah.
But like, just, I don't know, like, it doesn't have to be that complicated at the end of the day. It's an emotion. Somebody's gonna connect with it. No, I suck at that.
She does not.
Thanks for
She's
bringing it
so
up.
good at writing songs.
I suck at sitting down and doing it.
Well, same.
I'm like, who are you? Okay, hello,
I'm gonna bring it to Miranda.
Hi, I'm Kettle.
Yeah. That's the great thing about co-writing is
Yeah.
you don't have to be alone with yourself.
That's my husband. My husband
Exactly.
always encourages me. He's like, you haven't written by yourself in a while. And I'm like, because it's so, ooh.
Oh, you're amazing, writer.
We need to challenge each other in our next retreat that we'd go away and write one by ourselves
Ooh.
and come back, and then everybody would be like, well, I would have.
Yeah, that's really good. Let's take it from the hook.
Oh, Queen Bee, Ante.
Whoa, that would
That's pretty-
H-Town, Texas girls stick together.
Put it out there.
Putting it out there.
Yeah.
All of it. I'm like,
She's gonna open her own theme park very soon. It's in
oh yeah,
Texas.
what do we call it? What do we call it?
I don't know, like Pistol Land or something. No,
You can't promote guns.
no, I know you can't do that. I know.
I don't know. I'm very open right now. I feel like life's brought me to a really cool place of being open and free, and even just, you know, not just musically, but just in my life, I'm open and I want to try everything. I might as well. You know, I'm lucky enough that I worked my tail off and got to reach a lot of goals so far, and 20 years in. So like, I got 20 more years while my knees work, hopefully, to like try some new stuff.
I can't get my head off of what a theme park.
I can't either.
I was like, are they like margarita glasses that spin
Lambertland.
around? You know,
Lambertland.
instead of
That's
teacups,
not
it's
cute.
That's fun.
That sounds fun. Says the girl that has like season passes to Dollywood.
I basically just
She
want
rides
to
the
sweet
cheap
in your theme park.
Yeah, give us the cut passes.
You are pushing kids out. We're friends of hers.
It's the songwriter line.
Well, It's, come out naturally. I get it from Wanda Coker, my grandmother, and my mom, Beverly Lambert. It's just in there. I can't get it out. It's calmed down a little. Like Wild Card, like Too Pretty for Prison is an example of me calming down. I'm like, I'll just hire someone. I would do when I kill you, but I'm kind of tired. That's
The house
such a
will
hard
build
one.
me.
Me too. That's my answer.
Of hers?
Of any artist.
Oh wow. There are many of them, but my son, he's really into country music now. He's into everything, but he started listening to Country Road, and I'm just like, what an impossibly simple and beautiful, amazing song.
So
I would
good.
have loved to have written Country Road.
Well, it was my idea, and I'm joking. It was Luke's. Luke had it all nice and teed up.
It wasn't that teed up.
Yes, it was.
It was.
It's okay. Golly, it's a brilliant
You
idea.
you had this whole thought collected.
You're a golfer. Tell him about the quote.
Well, I had read a poem about, that you need to hide this little bluebird. It's like this bit of hope, don't let anybody see it. It was a Charles Bukowski poem, but I just found the idea of a bird in your heart to be a really interesting image, and I was laying on the floor one night, and it was just when the whole wide world stops spinning and all the stars go dark, I turn a light on in my soul and keep a bluebird in my heart. And that was it. And then maybe this, I keep and turn, and I was like, I'm a turner. I turn this, I keep that. It was just like this mishmash of a puzzle, and it wasn't anything. Like, it's kind of a melody, and I just send it to Miranda, and I'm like, this is speaking to me. Does it speak to you? And she said, please can we write that? We're coming over next week. And we were all writing and showed it to Nat, and everybody was really stoked on it. And it really unfolded before our eyes. You can come in with the greatest idea, and if you can't unfold it, if you can't land it, it doesn't matter. To trust, to have people you can trust to, and to have people that trust you to help them unfold things.
Well, with an idea like that, thanks for trusting us, because there are times where you go in a room and it's not, this relationship is very much based on trust, and we're not also that heartbroken if it sucks. Like, we just know we'll get a better one some of that. You know what I mean? Because sometimes you get beat down by that, and sometimes it sucks. Luckily, we don't suck that much.
No,
but,
hopefully not.
But like, that idea felt precious. Like, we both knew, like, we got to deliver on this, because this is a really beautiful idea, and it's very important. It wasn't, it's fun to write Pretty Bitchin' or White Trash all day long, but like, something like that you trusted us with is like, this needs to matter. This needs to really say something. Speak to something.
It came out during COVID as well, and so it was just such a nice song to release, and I was really surprised it did as well as it did, just because of the nature of country radio. But I remember turning on the radio and I would hear it. It was just like, it just sounded so beautiful, and it just kind of fluttered its way to the top. It was like, and sometimes country radio has those songs like that are a little left of center, and they find their place in the world at the right time. And to me, I mean, we all could have used a little hope during that time, and it was just like, I feel like songs have their time and their place, and that was the perfect moment for it.
I agree.
I'm just thinking of my daughter who just turned 6 this week, and her taste in music is like Beyonce and stuff, like super, sass to the max. And country she doesn't really gravitate towards, but she does gravitate toward Miranda. And when she in the back seat, she's like, put on Bluebird, and I'll put it on, and she like puts her eyes back like this. Ooh, she's doing this, and it's
I hope
really
that
cute.
I really feed in the next few,
girl.
3-4 sassy generations.
Oh
like,
my
I gotta
God.
keep that
You've already-
going. I gotta keep that going.
She didn't want
feeding
to
him well.
listen.
That's good.
She didn't want to go back to school today after her wellness checkup, and I got a text from the teacher, and it said, she just balled her math homework up and threw it on her desk and says she doesn't care.
Yes, girl. All kinds of times.
That's right.